All right, Adolfo, I'm taking a look now at your assignment from week 5. This is the rough draft of part 1 for the final project. So, first of all, remember that when you use these templates, that you should delete anything like this that's in brackets. Delete the brackets and anything in it, or replace it with your own information. So in this case, all you need to do is just delete this up here because you've got everything that you need to have down here. So this is all good. I am asking everybody to try to come up with a little bit more creative title for the final project. So it'd be good if you could do that. Something that's more related to what you're actually writing about would be great there. But otherwise, it looks very good. Again, here you should have another title. This is the same title, basically the same title up here. It could be another subtitle if you wanted it to be, but it's just fine to have the same title be up there and down here. But you want to make sure you actually type that in here and not leave this part. Okay, let's see. All right, beat the clock and an annotation for a first audience. Time management is one of the biggest issues. No, okay, so if this is your subtitle, which would be fine, then put it up here and put it in bold. Okay, and then start your paper here because that looks like your actual an annotation. I don't think it's the right word here. You want to say analysis. Okay. Time management is one of the biggest issues in the workplace. Catherine Tyler's post. It's not a post. It's an article. I think so. You want to make sure you clarify that. Does just that. The topic of the text is time management training in an organizational context. It is an persuasive workplace article in the genre of HR magazine. Okay, the genre would be informative, and persuasive. That's the genre. HR magazine would just be the place it was written in, not the genre. Okay. So are you using exemplar? I'm not sure. I'm feeling like you may not be, but I'm not sure. You've got to use exemplar. Let the exemplar show you how to write this, okay? Because the exemplar gives you hints and tips in bold about what to do with it, what all you're doing to do with it, and how to do it well. So you've got to use the exemplar. Okay, you say the article is geared towards resource professionals, managers, commercial leaders. You have a pretty broad audience there. Is that what all is that beat the clock? Is that who all she's addressing? You want to make sure that you're clear about who she's addressing, and then you want to talk about who you're going to address. In other words, you got to delineate, you got to be clarifying who your audience is going to be that you're writing this analysis to. So remember, your audience needs to be different from the audience that she was writing her article for. All right. Subjects about time management training programs and companies focus on. Okay, so workplace. Okay, so basically, it looks to me like you're writing this to simply, yeah, it's all one big paragraph. You don't have paragraphing or anything. So I'm not even going to go much further because it looks to me like you just are, all you're doing is basically answering the prompt, answering each one of your what I call writing to the rubric. Writing to the rubric is not a good way to write because all it ends up being is just a list of all the answers to the rubric put in paragraph form, or in your case, just in a big, large clump of writing because you don't even have paragraphing. So you want to make sure that you go through and use the exemplar. That's the only thing I need to tell you because that's what you need to do. The exemplar will show you how to actually write this paper and write it well. So you need to make sure you do that. Yeah, all this stuff is you have some of this stuff here, but the problem is, well, let's say the topic's probably there and the genre's there, but it's a little distorted. It's hard to have. So yeah, I'm basically just going to have to go down through and I'll give you partial credit on everything rather than taking it all off. But all of these things are adversely affected by the fact that you're really not writing a paper. You're just writing down your answers to all these rubric elements and then putting that list of answers into one big written big paragraph. So yeah, all these things are affected by that. Um, when you do mention her article or anything from her article, you're not really citing it at all with proper citations. So that's all of that, of course, is big stuff that you need to fix. So there's really nothing else I need to say other than just use the exemplar. You absolutely have to use the exemplar, Adolfo, or you're not going to be able to have a great project. Okay, so use that exemplar to fix this, and then be sure to use the exemplar in week 7 that's provided for your entire project. Okay, remember you'll have 2 parts to the project. This part will be part 1, and then you'll rewrite this part 1, revise it for a different audience for part 2. Okay, so you'll understand all that when you get to week 7. Okay, um, and you did this in, yeah, APA, so that's correct. References page is down here on its own page like it should be. Uh, Double check to make sure there's no URL, because if you have a URL, it should go here. But otherwise, that looks okay. All right, so fair start, but you got a lot of work to make sure it's ready for the final project. Okay. As always, if you have questions or need help with any of this stuff at all, please let me know. Just reach out. I am here for you. All right, that'll do it for this video.